Another familiar item that was in House Bill 229 as it worked its way through the General Assembly relates to small businesses. We would like to see and we would like to create a tax credit program for small businesses that creates jobs and invests in new equipment. This was discussed in House Bill 26, sponsored by Representative Tanya Pullen, in the last session. It enjoyed broad support and ended up being a part of House Bill 229. A third item is amending the Tourism Development Act. I don't need to tell you what a coup it would be for Kentucky to host a Sprint Cup race from NASCAR, the country's #1 spectator sport. These races are hard to come by, but we have a great track, one that drivers love, at the Kentucky Speedway in Gallatin County. Such a race would mean some $200 million in economic impact for Kentucky. Again, this is an issue that has broad support among legislators in both the House and Senate. But again, time is of the essence. We can't attract a race without the expansion the owners of the Speedway are committed to. But the work needs to begin now, and the incentives are critical to making that happen. Likewise, the Breeders' Cup Championship is a premier event. We've held it in Kentucky several times. It should be held in the premier location for horse racing in the world, in our bluegrass state. Broadening an existing tax exemption to include multiple day events would help ensure that Kentucky remains competitive in continuing to lure this incredible event. Because as you know, the Breeders' Cup now has expanded to 2 days. Finally, Kentucky has an exciting opportunity to become the epicenter of advanced automobile manufacturing. In April, as you know, a consortium known as the National Alliance for Advanced Transportation Batteries, or NATBAT, chose Kentucky over 7 other states as the site for a proposed advanced battery manufacturing facility and headquarters. This would represent an investment of hundreds of millions of dollars and as many as 2,000 permanent, good-paying jobs. Construction could start this summer, pending the successful application for federal stimulus funds. This is a huge project with monstrous potential for spinoffs. But we need a resolution authorizing Hardin County, which owns about 1,550 acres known as the Glendale site, to transfer or lease that site for this use. We cannot blow this opportunity, especially when the federal government has indicated it will reward projects that are ready to go and hit the ground running. I've talked with the leadership in both chambers about this measure. I'm confident it has their support. I appreciate their understanding of the timing of this issue and of its importance. Finally, the bridges issue. We need to enact legislation creating the authority for bridge construction projects between Kentucky and Indiana in combination with private and local fundraising and governmental assistance. Specifically, this legislation, which is being finalized, would create a funding mechanism to ensure that projects such as the Louisville bridges and the Owensboro, Henderson, Indiana bridges for I-69 have the financing to succeed long-term. That will foster continued federal investment and safeguard the existing state investment, while ensuring that we as a state maintain the bonding capacity we need over time to fund projects throughout the rest of the state. Each of these projects reflects our aggressive efforts to recruit, retain, and create high-paying jobs for more Kentuckians. As I've said, at a time when 1 in 10 Kentuckians is out of work, the timing of these initiatives couldn't be more critical or more urgent. Moreover, in each case, these are measures that I believe have deep and broad support in each chamber. It is time now to move them quickly through this process, which is exactly what a short and necessary special session is designed for. Like I said, we will have the legislation drafted with all of these initiatives in the next few days, and as those pieces of legislation are ready, they will be available for public view. As you know, I formally called this session this last Wednesday and named as its chief purpose the balancing of the budget for the fiscal year that begins July 1. The Consensus Forecasting Group has officially forecast a revenue shortfall of $1 billion for fiscal year 2010. I propose filling that hole with a combination of 5 different things: federal stimulus funds, spending cuts, debt restructuring, enhanced tax collections, and suspension of some paid holidays for state workers to avoid mass layoffs. I unveiled the details of that plan on Wednesday. It includes no proposal to increase taxes, it saves stimulus dollars to plug holes in the 2011 budget, and it preserves investments in education, health care, and public safety. On Thursday, I also expressed the need to save Kentucky's struggling equine industry by authorizing video lottery terminals at licensed racetracks, the proceeds of which would be used to increase race purses and ramp up breeders' incentives, also to go to the general fund. We cannot afford to let one of Kentucky's signature industries suffer, and we cannot risk losing the equine industry's 100,000 jobs and $4 billion in investment. So there you have it. The budget, saving the equine industry, creating a mechanism to fund bridges, and ramping up our economic development toolbox to take advantage of the exciting opportunities in a critical time. Those items comprise my agenda for the June 15 session, an agenda conceived and fashioned after numerous discussions with different legislative leaders. Any further amendments to the call will be a result of a request from the leaders of both chambers. Now, I was asked yesterday about whether I would amend the call to include the proposal that President Williams offered yesterday as it relates to the equine industry. I will not be amending my call to include that proposal. Let me say this very clearly. I very much appreciate President Williams' willingness as a leader to engage in this important public policy debate on behalf of an industry that means 100,000 jobs and $4 billion in economic investment for Kentucky. He's approaching this issue in a thoughtful manner, reflecting the serious crisis confronting our horse industry. However, there are, in my judgment, a lot of moving parts to his proposal, and it's very complex. With respect to my proposal, additional gaming has been discussed for years. As I said yesterday, I believe it is time we take an up or down vote on that issue. Senator Williams' proposal, while thoughtful and responsive, could, I fear, have unintended consequences. The lottery, for example, has studied a similar issue in the past, a sales tax on lottery sales, and they concluded then that it could actually create a decline in sales. That would threaten our ability to fund the Key Scholarship Program, which makes college more affordable to more young Kentuckians and their families. Further, unlike my proposal, President Williams' proposal would not create additional sources of revenue to help us fund education, health care, and public safety in the future. My proposal would do that. I sincerely believe it is time to move forward on the slots issue or face the dire consequences for one of our signature industries. In closing, I believe my initiatives collectively represent a limited and doable agenda. It's an agenda that will go far in protecting Kentucky's families and businesses in this time of economic crisis, while making investments that move the state forward in the future. I look forward to the dialogue and the debate of the days ahead. Thank you.